Hello, and welcome to the podcast. My name is Michael Yon, and in this episode, Kuntarkis shares his understanding of life after death. I have 7 specific questions for him, and the topics will range from ghosts to the soul, from fear to love. So, without further ado, here's Kuntarkis.
Thank you, Michael. Just a small little opening I'd like to express. I would like to answer the 7 questions and explain a little bit about spirits, ghosts, and poltergeists. What is most important is for all who listen to this information is not to allow one's human ego to destroy one's opportunity to learn. That is very important, and to understand the world of the unseen and the unknown. Listen with an open mind and heart, and look within yourself for the truth. It is the inner learning that will expand your consciousness and advance the individual to a higher realm of understanding. You will also see things as you have never seen them before. Advancing consciousness where human ego cannot exist or enter will allow you to communicate with higher forms of beings that exist beyond the physical plane. Just remember, these beings have existed for billions of your earthly years in a vibration that is pure bliss. So I take this back to you, Michael, for questions.
Wow. Well, if we're speaking about life after death, then life after death assumes that there's a spirit that carries on. So can you tell me straight out, what is spirit?
You know, Michael, actually, that is a really, really interesting question. I've had that many, many times throughout my life. And please allow me to explain it in this way. Spirit is your essence, your life essence, the life force that is housed in your physical body. Without it, the human body could not and would not exist. You could not walk or eat or even communicate. You could not smell the flowers or see the birds flying in your skies. You would not be able to think or remember anything. The human vehicle would only be an empty shell. Spirit has existed for billions of your earthly years, and spirit is limitless in all things. Spirit is truly the master of life itself. From one incarnation, you as human beings have had knowledge encoded within the essence of your being. And your being is created from pure light, which has evolved from the beginning of all existence and will always exist. Spirit cannot perish. Only your physical, human vehicles perish, mostly I say, from abuse and dis-ease. When a human being chooses to leave their body and allow it to perish, depending on the individual's understanding and conditioning from their life, they will separate from their physical body, and their spirit will enter what we call the 4th dimension, where no physical matter exists. In the 4th dimension, there are countless levels of consciousness. If an individual has led a life of hatred, let's say, violence and fear, and has been highly conditioned by beliefs on their spirit, leaving their human body, they will take with them all their fears of death, their conditioning, their beliefs. This can and does create enormous fear and uncertainty. Because of the human ego, it can trap them within the lower levels of the 4th dimension. Many, as we all know, is the astral vibration. When a human being dies and their spirit leaves their human body, they will enter what is called the 4th dimension. If they have led a life of fear or violence, were on drugs or caused pain to others, or believed in the human myth of the devil, it is most certain that they will take those negative fears, conditions, and beliefs with them into the astral vibration, and they will recreate the same circumstances and situations that exist in their human life up until their death. The reason for this is that the human ego is the enemy within, and it is the human ego that maintains the beliefs, fears, and the conditioning of a lifetime. When the human life is ended and the spirit enters, again, what is called the astral vibration. So I take that back to you, Michael.
Wow. Well, this is another big question then. What is the purpose. What is the purpose of spirit?
Again, that's a very interesting question. So I'll answer it in this way. The purpose is to experience human incarnations from one life to another in order to learn from life in a physical form, but not to hold on to the past, because so many of us, we have 7 billion people on this planet, and nearly 7 billion people experience many experiences and even bring the past into the present, which creates their present and their future. When the past becomes your present, again, it becomes your future. And upon your death, the past will be encoded into your next incarnation, where you will have another opportunity to learn from it and let go. What you as an individual do in this lifetime governs your next incarnation, be it negative or positive. If you, as an individual, live a physical life without negative emotion, have deep unconditional love for all of life, and seek a deeper understanding to the purpose of creation and the meaning of life, then you as a human being will evolve and grow in consciousness and also awareness. You will become consciously aware of the presence of spirit and other vibrations, and upon passing from your human body, your spirit will enter into higher realms of the fourth dimension with complete awareness. Through the power of thought, you'll be able to manifest whatever you wish, and you'll be able to travel unhindered within other realms and vibrations, and even communicate with other forms of life that are beyond physical matter. When spirit exits from the human vehicle, spirit is only limited by human conditioning. Now, Michael, think about that for a moment. I'll repeat that. When spirit exits from the human vehicle, spirit is only limited by human conditioning. This is why it is most important to strive to become a balanced, loving, and caring individual, and allow conscious growth by dealing with and dissolving any negative beliefs, conditioning, and emotions from your human life. Learn that to love and respect yourself as a human being, you must learn to love and respect all others and all of life itself, no matter what form it takes, be it animal, be it plant, be it human. It doesn't matter. Respect all forms of life. So we go back to you, Michael.
Wow, that's really inspiring. Talking about only being limited by human conditioning. That's where you were talking about, we've spoken in other interviews about imagination and the power of imagination. You're talking about, like you said, you'll be unhindered as you travel and communicate and imagine. You can build whatever you like in your imagination, similar to the way they talk about, I guess, heaven and being able to be wherever you wish to be.
Absolutely. Can I just before we go on with the questions, I just want to say this about, I had what we call, it's called the Carnival of Words, and it's about a book launch. In other words, helping local authors and other authors to bring to the attention what books are available. And this was held at Labrador yesterday, Queensland, which is Australia, on the Gold Coast. And when it was my turn to come up, I was going to be interviewed by the lady, but she decided to say, look, I don't know what your new book's about, she said. So look, you just say whatever you want to say. So I started talking about entrapment first, and I talked about the different elements within entrapment. Then I went on to the second book, and I spoke about it. And what was amazing, I had the attention of every single person in that audience. There wasn't one person speaking about anything, where I noticed when other book lovers or authors spoke, people were talking amongst themselves, like even the authors, right? And that was very softly, without being disrespectful, but it was happening. And it was amazing that I actually had the attention of all those people. And it was the subject that I was talking about. It was talking about the possibilities of other life forms, other existences, and a little bit about what happens when you leave your human body, and talking about spirit world. And they were just amazed, and probably some were scared.
Yeah.
But the point was, they gave me their attention, and I felt that I was so honored by their energies that I could feel my heart just swelling up. It was so beautiful. I just wanted to say that.
That's so beautiful. Wow. Going on to the next question then. I like this question. This is we've spoken about what is spirit, and you've said that spirit is our essence, and we wouldn't be who we are. We wouldn't be able to see, smell, and taste without this spirit. My next question is spirit the true essence?
Well, to answer that, I've got to say yes, it is, always in a state of pure bliss, because there are no negative or positive aspects to its existence. It simply is. Spirit does not judge in any way, nor does it have any opinion. Spirit experiences life, moving forward, never looking back or regretting. Spirit have been trying to communicate with human beings for a very long time. As many human beings say, they have seen ghosts, in reality spirits, and become very afraid of them. Well, there is no reason to be afraid. It is only beliefs and conditioning. Spirits, ghosts cannot harm you. When you hear strange noises or observe furniture or objects moving around or even floating around, it is simply their way of trying to communicate. We all must remember, energy is everything, and everything is energy. The only difference between an animal and a human is that we vibrate at a different frequency. Just like birds, we vibrate differently as a frequency to them. Energy can and does build up, and it does result in situations where objects fly across rooms and furniture moves from one position to another. Even objects disappear. Small objects are placed from one room into the kitchen. I have heard so many people say that. But spirit is not trying to harm you. They never have. Now, poltergeists, yes, but spirit do not. If you hear them, it is only your negative emotion. If you fear them, if you fear them, it is only their negative emotions and a fear of the unknown. This fear is what causes you to create harm to yourself. Even situations where humans have claimed they were pushed down a flight of stairs by a ghost. But in reality, it was not the ghost that pushed them. It was their own fears and conditions, their beliefs that they would be harmed by an unseen being. Spirit can help solve all of your human crimes if humans would take the time to believe in them and learn to communicate with them. They truly are what we call the unseen witnesses, who have the ability to step back in time and see the events all over again. Spirit are just like you, except they are just not in a human vehicle. Yet fear is no doubt the greatest element that retards conscious advancement in human beings. If all human beings could go back in human time and remember your lives, say up to the age of 5, you would remember the invisible friends you played with that your parents said were not there. Most adults forget their invisible childhood friends, and because they won't allow themselves to believe in them or even see them, they impart this same conditioning into their children. And, naturally, children love their parents and believe what they are told to be truth, that those beings do not exist. And so the human beings grow up and forget about the spirits they once saw and played with, replacing their knowledge of these beings with fear of them. I have explained a little bit, in a brief way, what spirit is. Let's look at what ghosts are in human terms. Is there anything, Michael, you want to say before I continue? Because I'm going to be a little bit on a different path. Is there anything you felt that you wanted to ask? I felt this, so I needed to stop.
Well, you get us excited. You're talking about solving crimes, and you spoke about how spirit can reverse back in time and see things again. Is that what you said? I just wanted to confirm for myself and maybe others that were inspired by that. inspire that.
Exactly. See, a lot of human beings, right, have a fear of the unknown because they don't see it. And the problem is, if you don't see it, they're saying it doesn't exist. But the old saying is, just because you can't see it does not mean it does not exist. Now, if we go back, let's say 400 human years, when the first telescope, they were looking into the stars and they were seeing all these different stars and planets. And then they came up, let's say in the last 100 years, and they looked into a telescope or a microscope and they saw all these little creatures walking on the human body. Now, most people, if they didn't fully understand what those creatures were, they would say they were monsters invading us. But they accepted us consciously, right? Now, we step further on and we say to ourselves that is it possible that there are other dimensions that have other forms of life, not just a spirit, but beings who have stepped beyond their physical existence and think and create everything from thought. Now, if we believe they don't exist, then we actually deny our own conscious growth, our own conscious awareness that these things are possible. Because as we grow from month to month, year to year, century to century, our thinking is changing constantly, and we are accepting things in our life now that we would not have accepted, say, 20 or 30 years ago. Now, if we look back, Michael, we'll see that, and we have to admit that as truth.
Yeah. So you were gonna talk to us about poltergeists, I think.
Okay. Let me go back to this and say, I have explained a little bit in a brief way what spirit is. Let's look at ghosts. In human terms, human beings who have passed from their bodies but may not necessarily know they are dead. This is why they will be seen just standing there or floating endlessly without any direction. In many cases, they look frightening, and so physical humans become scared because of the way ghosts look. In reality, ghosts are only a part of the energy of that spirit that has left the human body, and as a result are mindless, hollow outlines, a shadow, much like what you would call a hologram. They are caught between the physical third and the non-physical fourth vibrations, like being stuck in a crack between two objects. They have no conscious awareness, and like a human being in a coma, there is nobody home. So, when you see a spirit or ghost or things move around your home, say hello to them. Ask for their name and tell them yours. Take the time to sit and communicate with them. Express your concerns for them and say you wish to help them in any way you can. Send them unconditional love and light and ask them why they are there. It is very important not to fear them, for it is fear that forms the barriers and confusion between their world and ours.
Yeah, or that fear that causes a barrier. I want to ask, how does negativity like this actually affect our human race? Because it seems that it's such a major factor.
Well, let's look at it this way. We as human beings incarnate to learn, and we also experience many, in fact, hundreds and thousands of different experiences in a human lifetime. A lot of those experiences can be looked upon as being negative and some as positive. And because of human ego as it is, we seem to only remember the negative things. And I believe many people would actually agree with that. And if they don't, they're denying themselves. Because if we look around the world today and we see all the violence and the inhumane acts that are being created upon brothers and sisters, we have to ask ourselves, where is all this coming from? And it's coming from the past. And it's coming from the past, from negative experiences brought into the present and constantly creating the future. What I'm about to express now may be perceived as negative. Humanity has had much violence throughout its history, and even though many have caused this violence upon humanity, there have been also great injustices put upon individuals who in turn have caused further pain and misery to the human race. The negativity created by individuals, let's say from one lifetime to another, have created much fear, hatred, anger, and violence, passing from one generation to the next, which is why there is a very strong negative energy at work on our earth. This negativity is caused by human ego. Human ego is active in both physical form, in your physical vibration, and in spirit form, in the astral vibration. So, when a human being passes from their body through a violent death, let's say, or has had a miserable life full of anger and violence, their hatred and anger is so great that they will seek revenge in any way they can upon another human being or beings to make themselves feel better. When these spirits enter the astral plane, they take their negative ego with them. And this ego that continues to cause suffering and pain in our human world, so all it can see is violence and hatred, and that alone gives them power to manipulate the weak and the vulnerable. These spirits are referred to by human beings, let's say, as poltergeists, but in reality, they are only a negative form of energy. They use human fear to create and cause situations that can lead to physical harm, and they essentially prey upon the weak and easily manipulated. They become leaders and dominators in the lower levels of the astral vibration, much like such people are leaders and dominators, let's say, in our physical vibration. They can and do cause human beings a great deal of pain and misery. Some learn to forgive and overcome their pain and become compassionate, loving beings when they next incarnate. Others will continue to experience the same miserable life after life. It all depends on circumstances and upbringing in physical life. Let's say all human beings are beautiful beings of light, but some are misguided by human ego. To have a peaceful world, each of us need to first become peaceful within ourselves and live a human life of compassion and caring for all of life. Obtain the wisdom to be understanding and loving not only to ourselves, but to our neighbors. And by doing this, our awareness will grow. When we grow and evolve, we will be able to communicate with Spirit, and knowing Spirit will give us an understanding of our true existence. For we know, or we need to know, nothing ever dies. It only transforms into another form of energy, another vibration, to vibrate at another frequency, because Spirit is endless and eternal. Back to you, Michael.
Wow. Before I go on about the question of the soul, is there any more that you can express to us about poltergeists as opposed to the leftover energies that are similar to ghosts?
Well, let's look at it this way, Michael. There are a lot of different beliefs of what a poltergeist is. As I've explained, that a poltergeist is someone that has had a very negative experience on this earth and has a very, very deep anger and hatred. And because they haven't resolved all that negative space in their physical life, when they perish, and in most cases, a lot of them perish violently. And they enter into a spirit world that they have no awareness of whatsoever. But because their anger is so great, they end up becoming a powerful dominator on the weak in that vibration. Now, there are other things, that there are aliens who also can come into our vibration, and many call them poltergeists, right? And they can cause great havoc. And many of them play with us in our sleep time to control us, to dominate us. So there are many different vibrations that there are entities that are of a very negative species that can cause us a lot of grief, a lot of misery, and a lot of pain. And they can interfere with an individual in their own conscious growth. So again, back to you, Michael.
Wow. That's beautiful. That's a bit intense for some. Maybe I'd like to somehow say it's all right. Just keep living your life. It's all good.
You know, Michael. One of the greatest gifts is imagination. You've heard me talk about that many times. And in my new book, The Book of Knowledge, I Am Alien, it talks about imagination in many of the different chapters. And what I've discovered in my life, if we have imagination, then that allows us to have an open heart and an open mind.
And protectiveness and
exactly.
Weapons. Yeah, imagination is a weapon. We're able to imagine light around us, or imagine.
It's a great power within us that we each can discover, and we can utilize that ability of imagination to create, not just through our own creativeness and become whatever we want to become, but it shows us that we are limitless beings. It's like looking at it like this. Let's say that we're looking now at a human man or a human woman. We're seeing the physical form, okay? We're seeing a third-dimensional object. We're not seeing what's behind that physical form, because most of us, in fact, 93 to 97% of us, can't see fourth dimensional unless we train ourselves. But if we can see by opening up our minds and our hearts and opening up the third eye that is within us all, we can begin to see what's behind the physical form. And what we're seeing is many, many different layers of consciousness as we evolve as a human being. Because many of us have had thousands and thousands of human lives. So many different incarnations. It's incredible. We have been everything in those incarnations and experience. But the secret is not to hold on, but to let go in love and see every incarnation simply as a memory to be drawn upon, to learn from in our current existence. But just think, if we had the sight beyond our physical sight, and we could see behind, again, we would see the many layers of consciousness that we each have evolved from. And that's a really beautiful thing to see. Sometimes when I see a person walk past me, I'm in like another mindset. And I'll see this energy field floating behind them, and there's all these different colors and different energies vibrating. And it shows me what awareness or what consciousness that being has evolved into. And that's a really beautiful thing, and it's a very privileged thing to actually have within ourselves.
And so evolved from as well, evolved into, but also where it's evolved from.
Exactly.
You're talking about lines of past consciousness.
Exactly. Many humans on this planet have evolved from other planets. In fact, probably a few dozen different life forms, and have come down to actually experience human life, but to help evolve the genetics of human beings to higher forms of understanding, to higher forms of communication.
Wow, I'm curious. I always have this question. Like, it's less than 50% of us that are from different planets, you'd say.
Oh, definitely.
But still, there's a decent amount of us that have.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. Okay. So, okay, we're going to go on to our questions.
This is the question about the soul, because you talked about spirit being the true essence. I want to know, what is the soul? What is the purpose of the soul?
Okay. What is the purpose of the soul? Well, that's really interesting, Michael, and I'm just coming to it right now. The purpose of the soul. Let me ask you a question first. Just very quickly, in a few words, what do you believe the purpose of the soul is?
I always equate it to the more godly aspect of us, as in it's the overseer, as opposed to the spirit, which is the actual essence, which is riding through the body, if that makes sense. Yeah, okay. I see it as the greater overseer or something.
Okay, well, let me say it like this then. Yet you ask, what is the soul? And again, what is the spirit? What is the difference between the two? Many human beings believe the spirit is everything, and that it was created by the human God, while others believe the soul is everything, and that it was also created by God. Most human beings, let's say on earth, believe all knowledge comes from what was written in books, from the past to the present. What we as people understand, that statement holds a great deal of truth. However, the form of truth stems from beliefs and has been conditioned into our society from one generation to the next. Humanity, let's say as a species, has been evolving for the past 928,000 years. And yes, the truth about human history has been rewritten over and over. So many books about the human history exist on our earth today. They hold a portion of truth and a portion of illusion. How can a human being really know what is truth as opposed to what is illusion and fantasy? To answer this question, let us return to the difference between the spirit and the soul. Every human being has a spirit within them. Without your spirit, you as a human being could not and would not exist in this physical third dimension. Again, you would be physically lifeless. The third dimension vibrates at a different frequency to spirit world, where the spirit world vibrates at a much higher frequency as compared to the human physical world. The soul is pure light, untainted, living consciousness. It exists in a state of bliss, unhindered by the physical realm. The vibration of the soul is much higher than that of the spirit. The soul is the totality of all that is. In the realm of the soul, there are no limitations, no negativity, because positivity and negativity do not actually exist. All is in balance and are in harmony in every moment. The soul created the spirit and the human form. Depending on the lessons that need to be learned, the soul can create one spirit to take a human form, or many facets of the one spirit to take many human forms, male or female, to live anywhere on our planet. The facets can be of the same age or at a different age, living at the same time or at different times. It all depends on the soul choosing the circumstances of human existence with the respect to the lessons to be learnt and knowledge gained. For example, the soul may choose to create 7 facets of the same spirit to incarnate at different times and places on our earth. When a facet passes over, meaning dies, that facet will then join with another presently living facet, adding their energies and also knowledge to the one who is living physically. This joining of facets continues until there is only one facet left. When a facet joins, a human being may wake up one day and suddenly feel so different, more confident, more sure of where they are going, and they may suddenly feel more peaceful about their life than they had previously. This is because the knowledge and experience of that facet that has joined them has now become a part of the physical living facet. So it's back to you, Michael.
Wow. I just giggle. That's really cool. Oh,
That's
gosh.
cool?
Yeah, it's cool. Okay, well, we know what the spirit is. We've been explaining what the spirit is and what the soul is. I want to ask, as it relates to consciousness, I guess, who runs my human life?
You know, Michael, that, to me, that is one of the most important questions that each of us as humans need not just to ask everyone, but to ask ourselves first. So I'll explain it like this. Depending on your beliefs and conditioning, let's say our parents and the kind of society we all live in and where we were raised in, the answer for most people would have to be the past. Throughout human history, generation after generation, incarnation after incarnation, each human being is created from the past. The past has been haunting humanity since humanity began, and fear is the driving force that keeps humanity in the past. The human ego has caused human beings to live in fear, clinging to what they know, and it is from this illusionary sense of safety that the human beings creates their future. Human history has been very violent, and life in the human race is no different. Wars erupt on a continual basis, creating misery and pain for all. You may ask yourself, why has this happened? Well, I personally believe the answer is very simple. The human ego created itself a very long time ago. Instead of allowing spirit to experience life, guided by the soul, the ego took over human life. One ego influences an individual, while a collective of egos influences the masses. Unfortunately, the ego is very short-sighted. It has no awareness of spirit or soul, and its only understanding is its past. It knows where it came from and will go forward based on or only what it knows. The ego will not venture into something unknown or beyond its boundaries and limitations of understanding. The ego can only relate to its past, and that is why humanity continues to live in the past, warring and fighting, still angry over things that happened centuries ago, never forgiving or allowing anyone to emotionally move on. The ego does not understand unconditional love, but only understands the past created from fear. So, therefore, its fears living from moment to moment. It can only draw on its past, and so this is why humanity creates its present and future from its past. You may ask if there is any hope for humanity. Well, I'm a great believer that the word hope is a negative because it leads to hopelessness. I'm a great believer that faith and trust is far more positive for humanity. And the answer is yes, there is always faith and trust. Take away the power of your human ego by not allowing it to control your emotions. If you seek truth and answers, then look to your soul, the seat of all knowledge. The spirit is the vehicle that enables the soul to gather knowledge from the physical realm through the process of incarnations, be it through one or several facets of energy. Learn to be true to yourself and ask your soul to guide your human affairs. Take some precious moments out of your human life and meditate in the stillness of your mind by putting your thoughts to your soul and asking your soul for forgiveness. Learn to be humble in all that you do and never, never give up on yourself. Believe in yourself because you are the soul, a facet, yet still a part of your soul. If you truly believe in your soul, you will find your human life will be very different. Your energies will change. Your mindset will change. Your human understanding will change. You will find all things will flow in balance, and your understanding of life will be enriched in many ways. Your fears will dissolve as if they never existed, and you will begin to see others as you see yourself. You will see the world with different eyes. Once you seek out your soul will reconnect with you. It has been searching for you, but you have been clouded by the human ego, unable to see the past, the fears. Remember, never, never give up. Always believe in yourself and believe in your soul, for your soul has always believed in you. So back to you, Michael.
Wow. Well, one of oh gosh, that's amazing. One of the jobs I believe that the soul has to manage through the spirit is that of karma. So I wanted to ask about karma. My specific question is, what is the cause and effect of karma?
That is a really good question, because a lot of people look at the word karma and they think of the Eastern philosophies And that's true. That's where the meaning of karma came from. We see it as cause and effect. From a Western understanding, we see, what you do unto others will be done unto you. So I think that also is a really, really interesting question. So let me go from this perspective. Love is the one thing that all human beings want from life: to be loved and to love. Everything on our earth could perish, yet what would remain is love. For love is unbiased, non-judgmental. It has no anger or violence or hatred. It is neither negative or positive. It just is in the moment. You do not have to search for love, for it is all around you and within you. It exists within all of life, and it is the closest thing to the heart. Love is you, and it is the closest anyone can be to perfection. So, let's ask this question. What went wrong with humanity? Where is the love that each of you or us are created from? It is still with us, and it always has been, there for us to discover who we really are and to experience life's joys. However, since the human ego came into existence, we have allowed our love to take a back seat while our human ego created a world of fear, beliefs, violence, and laws that protect only the law itself. Justice in reality does not exist for the victims of our human world of chaos and confusion. Humanity has created a path of pain and misery for all who exist upon the earth and within her, our Mother Earth. Most civilizations on our earth understand the term karma. It is well known to the Eastern world and means what you do unto others will be done unto you. That needed to be repeated. The term can be negative and positive, like good karma and bad karma. Most civilizations understand the term cause and effect, especially the Western civilizations, and the meaning is the same as karma. Every negative and positive action that an individual creates in their lifetime is recorded in their cellular memory. What is also created from all past lives of an individual is also recorded in our cellular memory. It is brought in with the energies of that spirit when they incarnate into a body, a human body. So the effect of this cellular memory is that every experience an individual has from one life to the next can and does shape the experiences a human being has during their lifetime, be it negative or positive. Many human beings believe in reincarnation. Let's say good karma, bad karma, cause and effect. But most do not realize that they have existed on this earth for more than 928,000 years. And in that time, they have lived thousands upon thousands of human lifetimes. Over this time, many have created an enormous amount of negative karma and continue to do so. The cause is your human ego, the part of the human that has been created from fear. The effect is the outcome and can be due to many reasons. An example: lying, stealing, controlling, dominating, causing harm to another through violence, rape, murder, physical abuse, mental abuse, lust, negative thoughts towards others, terrorism, greed, wars, hatred, and the list is endless. These are just some of the traces of the human ego. I would like to give you an example of the human ego at work. Let's say a human being has lived 47,000 lifetimes up to this moment. The karma that this individual must face is from 47,000 lifetimes, and the amount of negative karma, depending on what their experiences were, is in itself mind-bending. What would you say to that, Michael?
Yeah, I'd say it would be, yes.
Okay. Many human beings never resolve all of the karma from their present life. Let's say during their present life, so that karma is carried on to their next life and the next and so on. The wheel of life is in motion. Many humans find this notion of accumulated karma difficult to accept, which is understandable, but it is the complete truth. Our past will catch up to our present because it's recorded within our being. What we each need to understand is that we are not the body. In fact, we are not the mind. In fact, we are not the spirit. In fact, we are not the soul. What we really, truly are is infinite consciousness that is the totality of all that has been and all that will ever be. Let's say this. Would you not think if a human being only lived one lifetime, that humanity by now would have let go of all the wars and violence, the hatred and anger? One of the major contributing factors to humanity's problem with hatred and violence is genetic transfer of these emotions and beliefs to children, which is then reinforced through upbringing and conditioning. Humanity is creating a negative world for their future children. If human adults, let's say, do not resolve their own creative negative emotions, then we, as a race of beings, are guilty by example to our children, who will inherit our negative past and emotions. And in turn, each human being adds to the creation of a negative, violent future. There is an organization that wants to rule all nations on your earth. This may sound completely mad to the listener, but if you each come from the heart and search within yourselves for the truth, you will find out what I am expressing are indeed complete truth. Karma is the creation of the human ego, and the human ego has been evolving for more than 928,000 years. So it is natural to presume karma has been around for a very, very long time in our history. To give you another example, a nation attacks another nation, and thousands of human beings are slaughtered. Many are thrown into poverty. Why? Is it greed? Is it a desire for domination and control? Is it jealousy of what that nation may possess? From a human perspective, all answers may be one or all, some or all of the above. But there is another reason human beings may not consider: karma. Go beyond the human answer and seek a deeper understanding from within ourselves, our infinite selves. What you will discover is those who attacked were in fact attacked by the defending nation somewhere in human history. From that human history, those individuals have reincarnated under different circumstances so they would attack that nation to pay back that or what was done unto them. This has been going on throughout our human history, payback after payback. In reality, it is simply revenge. Every form of violence committed in human history is a form of karmic payback. To choose not to pay back and harm another is to evolve consciously. To continue the circle of violence is to remain unevolved. To say you killed me last lifetime, so now I am going to kill you, is not the rational higher thinking of an evolved physical being. The problem with revenge that spans lifetimes is it never stops. How can an entire nation stop the cycle of karmic revenge when the individuals who make up that nation are driven by emotional imbalances that urges them to react to karmic debt? Let's stop for a moment and think before we each choose to pay back someone, no matter how trivial or serious it may be. Think from your heart, not your ego, and say, no, I will not do this act. It is not right for me to take another's life in violence, or to steal, or to rape, or to cause another one's harm. It is right not to cause this harm. When all the human individuals say enough is enough, realize after nearly 1 million years of human evolution, it is time to step beyond the understanding and thinking of the unevolved ego and to choose to change our thinking and our life so we can grow beyond this way of life. Every human being needs to learn about the enemy, and it is not the enemy outside of us or around us, nor is it another country or religion. It is the individual, the enemy within every human being. Our past, our fears, our genetic encoding, our negative actions created from one lifetime to the next. The enemy is within all of us. It has been and always will be. You, the listener, may say that if this is the case, then how do we overcome this problem? Learn to slow ourselves down. Learn to stop trying to outrun time, because in reality, there is no such thing as time. There is only the moment. And you, the individual, take some precious moments for yourself and walk along nature, or walk among nature, or walk on the beaches of sand. Learn to feel and see the beauty in nature and become aware of the beauty in ourselves. And we will all begin to see the beauty in all other life forms. We'll see it in our friends, our wives, our husbands, our children, our nations, our neighborhoods. We will see it constantly, and we will begin to change our way of thinking. What we need to do is come to a realization that every human being is a beautiful, infinite spirit of light, and that all human beings are connected to each other, and all forms of life on our earth and in all universes are connected. Feel the love within ourselves and learn to love and respect ourselves as we are in this moment. Change what we or you feel needs to be changed in our life. Learn to connect with our inner or your inner self or inner infinite knowledge, and this will show you all of your past lives and experiences, both negative and positive. See for yourself who you really are without any form of judgment. When you can come to these realizations about yourselves, then you are open to see others around you without judgment. You will begin to understand that all human beings are in reality your sisters and brothers. But one thing must be realized. If you, the individual, have negative thoughts towards others, it also means you are negative about yourself. That negative thinking is a part of your human ego, and it is the human ego that has created all pain, violence, hatred, and anger. It is the ego that needs to be dissolved by each human individual back into the nothingness from which it was first created. So let's look at one most important thing. Love. Unconditional love is the key to freedom. Forgiveness is the beginning to discover the key to that ultimate freedom. So when you learn to unconditionally love and you learn to unconditionally forgive, you have the two most powerful words in the universe besides imagination. Back to you, Michael.
Wow. And it is like you said, when issues come up with us individually, we have to take responsibility for that being a part of us. It might be someone else that's upsetting us, but it's within us that we can sort it out. And with love is the answer for sorting that out.
Absolutely. And there's one thing, can I just express this? I need to say this because I have had this put upon me by so many people in the past. What we need to truly understand is that we are the power source. We are the mentor, the motivator. We are the life coach for ourselves because we can create anything in our life. But please remember, there is no individual on this earth or in any universe that can dissolve another's individual's karma. We as individuals are the only one with the power to dissolve our own karma, because karma has been created to teach the individual lessons of life. It doesn't matter what vibration or frequency or realm or dimension we all live in. Only we can dissolve our own karma. And dissolving karma is a simple step. When we learn not to live in the past and only live in the moment, we begin to understand that we truly are the essence of love, and we truly have the ability to forgive. That's the power. So if you, as an individual, do not experience these lessons and have your karma dissolved by another, then you have not learned what is required to be learned in that lifetime. We are the power in everything. We are co-creators on a journey to discover that we are so much more.
Wow. We titled this interview "Life After Death," and I know that we could talk about life after death for hours. I was wondering if you might finish us off with a story.
A story.
A story of passing, maybe, of what happens for a person when they die.
Oh, okay. Well, I have written some stories actually in the Book of Knowledge, I Am Alien, but I want to use this one particularly because a lot of children pass over with a lot of fear because of what human adults place upon them. So this may not be exactly the way it happened in the book, but I believe it will actually mean the same meaning. I have trained myself over 44 years because I have never stopped believing that we are so much more and that spirit world actually does exist, and there are many, many, many thousands of different vibrational levels of that type of consciousness. There was a little boy that I remember seeing, and he looked at me and he had such fear on his face. And as he looked at me, he suddenly saw me as an adult, and he saw me as fear towards him. So he took off and went into another vibration, and I lost sight of him because of the amount of vibrations that exist. And I remember seeing him on many occasions, and I have another little spirit friend, his name is Little Chipper, and I asked him to befriend this other little spirit boy.
Just to clarify, you're doing this in the spirit world while your body is asleep.
I'm doing this out of my body, out of my physical body. Because this is the type of work I actually do. When my physical body lays down, I have trained myself to become fully aware, which takes many, many, many earthly years, to understand that you are out of your body, and through your thoughts, you can actually create every circumstance. You have the power within spirit world as you have the power within your physical life. So again, I got this little boy Chipper, who I've known for a very long time, who was actually in spirit world. He befriended this little boy and coaxed him to come and talk to me. And you could see the fear on his face, the terrible expressions of him passing over. And how I want to say this is, going through the outback of New South Wales many, many, many physical years ago, he had a mother, and the father died in the First World War. And it was very difficult for women in that time to actually survive without a man. And she married this man. She thought he was nice, and he treated them both nice for a little period of time, but it didn't last very long because things weren't going financially. So he started to drink again very heavily, and he used to bash the little boy's mother. And one day the little boy couldn't take it anymore. So he literally attacked the man, because what a lot of children will do, especially in spirit world and physical world. And he said, "Leave my mummy alone." And the man hit him and knocked him to the floor. And the little boy started to feel deep fear. And the man turned his anger upon the little boy, and the little boy ran outside, and it was pouring with rain. And they had quite a large field out there. And in that field there was like a pond where water gathered. And it was only about, let's say, 200 millimeters deep, probably about 8 inches in inches. And he grabbed the little boy, caught him and grabbed him, and he had him face down, and he held his head under the water. And he held on to the little boy, really angry, and the poor little boy drowned. And the father then, which was a stepfather, he actually disappeared. He took off. He was never caught. He was never found. And he said to the mother, if you ever tell anyone, he said, I'll come back. And he said, I will end your life. So the mother was very scared. She didn't know what to do. The little boy was dead. So she actually dug a grave and buried him on the property. The little boy ended up in spirit world full of fear. And what he was doing, Michael, he was reliving the same circumstances over and over and over. In fact, hundreds of times for all those years, which is nearly, let's say, 100 physical years. Now, I started to befriend this little boy, and I started to explain things to him, that he no longer had to have fear, that what he was living was an illusion of his own fears. And Chipper used to help him too, because it took a little while for me to get through to Chipper, and now through this little boy. So Chipper encouraged him, I encouraged him, and the little boy one day, I was observing him, he was running from this man, and suddenly his power clicked in, and he turned and he pointed up to the man and he said, stop, right there. You have no more power over me. I refuse to give you any more power that creates fear in me. I now let go of this fear because I want to go to my mummy. The man stopped, looked at him, his attitude changed and disappeared as if he never existed. The little boy, I said, turn to your right and see your mother. He turned, and that's where his mother was standing waiting for him. And he ran to his mother, and they just disappeared into what is energy. Some call it light, like a vibration, like stepping through to another time, another dimension. And that was one experience that I felt so overwhelmed. And you see, in spirit world, you can cry if you want to, because that's living energy and that's reality. Many don't believe that, but it is. And I felt so honored to actually have helped that little spirit overcome nearly 100 years of pure pain and brought him to a realization that he's now with his mother and they can move on in life. So that's just one little experience.
Wow, thanks Kuntarkis. That was both beautiful and informative. In closing, is there anything else you'd like to share?
I'll leave you with this little comment. Try to remember that as a human being, you are only limited by yourself. A spirit is limitless, but we as humans place our limitations upon our spirit, which then enters the spirit world and is then limited by us as human beings. Now, that might sound a little bit complicated, but it's not. We have to learn as humans to let go of our past, anything that's negative. We need to learn what emotion is, but we don't have to live in emotion all our life. What we may need to do is learn emotion, let it go, and see the past as simply a memory to be drawn upon, neither negative or positive, and become feeling beings. I'll leave you with that.
Thanks, Kuntarkis. Well, this concludes the episode Life After Death. If for any reason you'd like to contact us, and I do recommend a personal consultation with Kuntarkis, then simply email kuntarkis@gmail.com. Well, until next time, thanks for listening. My name's Michael Yon, and stay tuned for more.